Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Business, and I'm doing an overview on the German Tier 8 battleship, the Tirpitz. And first things first, I'm going to show you the normal skin that it comes with, and then some of the other ones that are available. This is the rust-free skin by AWOL Freedom, and certainly cleans it up quite a bit. And definitely like his work so far. He's doing a great job. And this is by Tans. This is the Norway version of his Tirpitz skin. Really like the dazzle scheme and whatnot. It looks really good. And then we have his Baltic version, which is totally cleaned up, different type of skin for it, and I really enjoy it the way this looks. So this is my default one now, I think, but I'll probably be switching back and forth between the various skins over the time that I have this and play it. But yeah, it's a great looking ship overall, and has that a lot of that German type of quality to it, and it just looking at it, it screams Kriegsmarine. But I don't know, it's weird how the nations have such a distinct visual flavor, and that it's historically accurate in that respect. But I don't have my captain skills squared away with this yet. I don't have my 4-point skill, which would certainly help to make up for a major deficiency with this ship, which I'll go over in a moment. But as far as the stats are concerned, starting with the artillery, we have 4 turrets with 2 cannons each, so it has a total of 8 shells that it can lob through the air. It has the 15-inch cannons, so 380 millimeter. They're low on the max AP damage, and they fire quickly at 25-second reloads. The traverse time with the expert marksman 2-point skill for the captain brings it down to 31.6 second 180-degree turret traverse, which is the fastest in the game for anything that's as far as the battleship's concerned. The dispersion, I do have the accuracy mod. Again, I'll go over that in a second. The dispersion and the AA on this are the biggest problems by far, and don't take any heed of the dispersion. It's so bad, and this is something I'll definitely be discussing throughout the video. But it does have a decent complement of secondary cannons. There's 105 millimeter cannons as well as the 150 millimeter cannons. I think that's actually the largest, or one of the largest, on the secondaries for any of the battleships. Pretty sure it's close to that at least. But this is the 150 millimeter cannons. They shoot a fair bit slower than the smaller cannons, of course. They hardly have much of an increase in damage. They both have a range of 4.5 kilometers that, with the 4-point captain skill, would go up to should be about 5.4, 5.5, and that'll certainly help quite a bit, because you will get into those knife fighting ranges quite a bit with this ship, and it's fun actually. Having those torpedoes here mounted right in the midships. They do have a 90-second reload. They're relatively low on the max damage, but again, if you're in that range, even one of those torpedoes, if they hit, can mean all the difference between whether or not you win that fight. They do have, I wouldn't say they're very quick on their turn as well, so I mean, I think they're above average, but generally it's not, if you need those to swing around real fast, it's not necessarily something that's going to happen like some of the faster destroyers and all that, of course. But the thing is, because it's mounted in that spot there in midships, it has a huge arc on its firing. I mean, it's almost 180 degrees. I mean, it's really impressive. I mean, you can be going forward and lead the torpedoes forward, which is really nice. And taking a look at the AA here, it's crap. It is so goddamn bad. It's not even, I mean, 2.1 kilometers and whatnot, and I mean, what the hell are you supposed to do with this? So I just want to throw this out there. I guarantee this is how all of the German ships are going to be. They're going to be awful with AA, and in the future when they do the Italian navies too, I would suspect it to be at least as bad. Which I can't wait for the Italian navies. That those ships are going to look so sexy. She is incredibly fast, and actually technically he, because apparently this and the Bismarck were the only ones ever called he's. But 32.4 knots puts it right up there with the Iowa. And the usual main battery mod 1 for the first slot. I have the accuracy upgrade for the second slot. Getting the additional 20% AA range would be worthwhile if those actually did any damage, but they pretty much don't. So stick with cruisers and other battleships actually, and try to not be the sole target, and you'll be probably just fine. Of course, the rudder shift mod as well to make this feel even more like a cruiser, and that's to me what it feels like, a really, really heavy cruiser. But moving on to the gameplay, I think that the cruiser killing capability of this is horribly, horribly overrated. It's a battleship. No shit it can destroy a cruiser. Like, what can't? And, I mean, the combination of the inaccuracy and, like, the wild dispersion on this ship, and just, I don't know, the way it behaves is very temperamental. It's a lot like the Colorado before the most recent buff, or actually even before that in terms of the dispersion. It behaves a lot like the North Carolina, honestly, in a lot of ways too. Yeah, of course it can be accurate, and of course it can knock out cruisers really well. I mean, you think I can't do the same thing in the Amagi, the North Carolina, the Iowa, the Izumo? I mean, I really don't get the praise of this being a cruiser killer unless it has some special modifier that increases the ability for it to get citadels, but it doesn't. And these are cherry-picked clips. The amount of times that I've shot at cruisers and hit nothing, such as this Omaha, for instance. He'd been steaming towards me for the last 2 minutes, and I could not hit him at all, even when I got to this angle here to finally get a better shot on the side. It took that was the third salvo I had at that angle, and I finally had a decent hit to wipe him out. So I mean, everybody else's results may vary, but so far I don't believe a damn thing when it comes to the Tirpitz label of being a cruiser killer. Now, what she is, however, is durable as hell, and that has been kind of glossed over a little bit in the Amagi video, where you saw me doing considerable damage with that ship against the Tirpitz, more than one occasion. And you'll see when I get the Izumo video rolled out sometime in the next week or so, that the Izumo fares incredibly well against the Tirpitz. But as far as the Tirpitz is concerned, you'll see I've got a Tirpitz that I have my bow pointed to at the moment. I'm trying to control the battle against him since he's further away, and focus on this New Mexico. We're kind of in a pretty close points battle in this particular match, and Jason is coming up to my rear and trying to get him to help me focus down this New Mexico, give us the lead, and put me in a better position to engage the Tirpitz off to my left. And the New Mexico, actually, you would be amazed at how well that ship does against the Tirpitz. It's for the way that those shells disperse, it comes right into the deck, and damn, it can do a lot of damage, as you just saw. And I personally have no fear when it comes to using my New Mexico against a Tirpitz, and I don't think anybody else should either. It's an easy to penetrate ship, and it has a turtleback design on the Citadel, and so there's an additional layer of armor there. So when you come in against the side of the Tirpitz, it is a penetration, but then it bounces off the additional armor that's over the Citadel, and that's what causes the penetration damage. And if that's what makes it vulnerable to plunging fire, and also, and this is incredibly crucial to destroying the ship, when it's in a turn, if it's turning towards you, where the side of the ship is coming down into the water and it's revealing less of its side, you dump the rounds into the center of the ship, like the structure of it, and you're basically flat, making that angle more flat against the inside of the ship. Like if it's think of it like looking down at the top view of the ship, it's rolling towards you, and you're able to hit that in the way that you normally wouldn't be able to without plunging fire. On the other hand, if the ship is pulling away and turning away and showing that red underbelly, you're now able to get right underneath the side armor and the turtleback armor and hit the citadel directly. And so when a Tirpitz is in turns or moving, turning one way or another, if you have your shots ready, you can do a shitload of damage against it, with or without citadels. I have 2 clips with the Azumo of doing 30 and 31,000 damage with no citadels. I mean, they're just they surprised the hell out of me, let's say that much. But generally aiming for the structure, like where the boats are and whatnot, like the deck itself, is what will yield the most damage, at least so far in my experience. And so yeah, I saw some clips against battleships there and whatnot. So how does it fare against destroyers? Well, it's nice having the torpedo surprise, and I knew this guy was here. Oh god, I lucked out that he wasn't in any better of a spot to do a little more damage. He did, what, 61,000 damage to me there, so that was ridiculous. But I got him, and we did win that match, so I'm okay with it. I was pretty much unscathed the entire match up until that point, so it doesn't really matter, so we won. This match, we lost terribly, and they had a trio of Shimikazes on their team. I know there's one over here. I decided to launch torps to... I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking at this point. I'm just tired of nobody doing anything, and I'm just saying screw it. I'm throwing caution to the wind and just pushing myself in, but loading HE as well, as you can see. But I don't really need it, because this gentleman is deciding to go right for my torp. Boom. Gotcha. It feels like justice. It really does. But moving on, however, to a more full clip. I think this is actually the best match I've had in the Tirpitz, and for whatever reason, I can't seem to do consistently well. Like, I could do okay with it, but I don't have like an astounding game, and I've played something like 25 matches or something with it, close to that, and I think I've only earned over 100,000 damage like 4 times so far. It just seems really hard to be consistent with it, but when you get shots like this, it helps. So nice 20 plus kilometer citadel on a Miyoko at the start of the match, and yes, that's a pink aircraft because a battleship just ahead of me here is pink from team killing. If you see something like this, just leave them be. If it's the start of the match and all that, just let it go. They didn't kill anybody in this match. Let them do their thing, try to work that damage off. If it happens in the match and they turn pink, by all means shoot them, but you know, you're just asking for trouble if you engage people that are pink when they come into the match. But solid shot there against the Pensacola, but it's a Pensacola, and citadels are a very common way of life against that. And we're all mostly moving here towards the west. The east is pretty much unoccupied by our team. Unfortunately, this happens a lot, of course. And you'll see that on our starting cap there in the center, we have an Atlanta. He's got his back up against the island, and I I guess he's waiting for either somebody to come around the edge and hug it too much, which is kind of weird with 4.5 kilometer range torpedoes, or he's just covering the channel. Either way, he's really in a bad spot, and he has no support by any of us. So he ended up dying, and then tries to call everybody else bad because he sat in literally the same square the entire match. And we have to start pushing back as, Two Brothers is an interesting map because a lot of times if part of the team breaks off and turns back around, you can cover, or you can start engaging the people that have overextended themselves along one side, because it's not very common that the teams stay completely grouped up. There's a lot of fracturing, splintering. People started to develop their own battles and stuff like that, and I find this and let's see, Hotspot to be the two best maps in the game, just because they do something different with the teamwork. They really mix it up, actually. They force movement in a lot of respects, and especially Hotspot. I think that's my favorite. You get right into the action, and people have to move, or obviously they get overwhelmed. So unfortunately for those people who don't have solid state drives, it can be a bit of a detriment not being able to load in and be prepared at the start. But even my solid state drive, sometimes I don't get in right at this, like just a few seconds after. So it's freaking weird. I don't know, but see that super dependable accuracy from the Tirpitz here. Entirely missed the Aoba, so that's fantastic. I start to engage the cruisers. I'm leaving the Tirpitz alone for a few reasons. One, he's not going to do the damage to me that they will with HE as consistently, so I prefer to take out the support and then focus on the battleships themselves, because I find, in my experience, again, to each their own with their playstyles and whatnot, I find that it works better to mitigate the damage to myself from those HE shells, because I can angle against the battleships, who are almost 100% for sure going to be using AP for the most part, and then the HE shells are what are concerning me, and I can deal with having damage from AP getting penetrating damage and doing 5, 10, 15,000 damage. But having damage over time with the fires and then repairing it only to have the fires come right back again puts you in a totally different situation. It's a bit more desperate. And speaking of desperate, again, this damn ship, I just can't seem to get it to be accurate enough when I need it to be. And naturally, the Shokaku there is turning away as I fire, right as I fire. And that was a very common problem for all the targets that I was choosing over the last week. When I would fire, it's right exactly when they would be turning, and I just couldn't get out of that rhythm, and it just so frustrating. But Jason's here on my port side, and oh, here's the Pensacola. How you doing, buddy? And Pensacola doing what Pensacola's do? He's gone. Just gone. And the Tirpitz is about to reveal himself between those islands, and I think I said the... Actually, no, that's right, I switch over to the Otago here, and still that that damn carrier is running away. He becomes much more of a problem for me in a minute. And send a rippled salvo out to the Otago. Boom, get him too. And we start to move in against the Tirpitz here. And I still have my eyes on the prize there with the carrier. I really should have switched to HE, but I was anticipating the engagement here with the Tirpitz. And actually, I'm really glad I didn't, because his concealment range kicked in, so wasn't able to see much of anything there anyways. I didn't have the target. and I know he's about to drop torpedoes, and we've got the Dead Atago's torpedoes coming through, but I waited for him to fire, and I'm cutting hard to port, and let's see, got the shells coming in there, some decent damage. So again, I don't need citadels to do damage. Nobody does. Like, people want the citadels, of course, but again, I'd much rather have consistent damage. And there's the torpedoes from the Tirpitz. And the thing is, you really got to remember a lot of times that they have them on both sides and which one fired, because when you have this many Tirpitz in the match, you know, as we will for quite a while, you know, it's easy to forget which side was launched. You know, when you have teammates firing their torpedoes, or you know, it just gets a little hectic sometimes. I think I've been caught off guard by that once. Like, I got a few things mixed up, and as you saw a moment ago, again, these shells, they just couldn't really punch through the side armor of the Shokaku, and considering where they hit, I'm surprised they only did that damage. And again, that proves to almost take me out. But this guy, this is a shining example of what not to do against an enemy Tirpitz. I should have loaded HE. This is a ridiculous scenario, and I'm using AP because I'm expecting the kill shot at any point, and he's starting to turn a little bit, trying to get the shots to sink right into the center of the ship. He's got nothing left, and look at this. You gotta be kidding me. And this, I think, is why people think that the Tirpitz is OP, and I get it. I think it's a ridiculous statement to make, but I understand where it comes from. So he just launched his torpedoes on his starboard side, and by now he'll have his other torpedoes on his port side ready to go as well. I'm in a really bad position here because there's the aircraft coming in, and I have to choose my poison. I know he launched torps, and it's either deal with max damage at 13,000 from those if I didn't go forward, or have to suffer through this shit. And yeah, almost got me. And just to top it off, to make this even more frustrating, full salvo, check this out. I got a turret. One hit and I got a turret. And yep, like I said, should have switched to HE, but you know, just to get the guaranteed damage, the burns, if any of that came up, I would have saved myself so much trouble, and Jason some trouble too. Actually, I know he took some damage there. So yeah, not the best moment I've had in this ship, that's for sure. Certainly a bit embarrassing, but we're trying to get this game finished up here and get it back in our hands. It's really close to us losing. I mean, there's a Cleveland that's up to the north, and he's been running away the whole time, and I don't know what he's been doing, but what we needed him to do was to make sure that they didn't get on C and stop that cap from getting us points, because it's, as you can tell, it's obviously a very close game, and the longer we have all those points coming in, the better off we'll do. And at this point, we find the Shokaku again, and we're running out of time. It's really close to us losing this or winning it, so we have a decent shot on the Shokaku, I hope. Fire these over the island, or the cliff there, and boom. That's about the end of that. So Jason and I capped A, and this is the best result I've had with the Tirpitz so far. 738,000 freaking credits. That's awesome. And 2,500 base experience, 4 kills, only 5 aircraft destroyed. Oh boy, this thing sucks against AA, like just embarrassingly bad. But about 124,000 damage, not that bad. In this particular match, 300,000 credits, I only did about 61,000 damage. This one was about 90 to 100, and this one was about 105, 110,000. So you can definitely earn some solid credits, and that's with premium time, of course. And that's exactly what it comes down to, is how much time you plan to invest in the game. And if you plan on doing a lot, then a premium ship is a good investment, because you will earn so much more than your average matches. And you get to train for a new line eventually coming out with the Germans. But you know, I just think that there's a lot to like about the Tirpitz, as much as there's not to like. And the lack of AA is a killer, and so is that dispersion. It's so inconsistent. But, you know, it's an enjoyable ship to play. Otherwise, it feels like a really fat, heavy cruiser. And I know there's only a few days left on the sale, but I hope this video can help you make a decision. I'm just not in a position to be able to do that for you, especially at $65, $70. But hope you enjoyed the video, though, gentlemen, and we'll see you back here next time. Take care.